Hello, bronies. It's me, Clayton, and we have just gotten back into My Little Pony with this newest episode, Fame and Misfortune. Now, we've had a couple of episodes beforehand where the creators and the writers have clearly gone meta and have mentioned various fan reactions to various episodes beforehand, but I think this is one of the most meta episodes of the bunch, and it manages to get a lot of humor and a lot of good points down while being an entertaining episode in its own right. But let's get to the story, shall we? The story is that Twilight Sparkle decides to publish her old friendship journal, which contains all of the friendship lessons that our characters have learned throughout all seven seasons of the series. Though you probably have guessed they haven't learned a lesson every single episode, but there's still quite a few to go through. Unfortunately, the town seems to have taken to the book in a different way than what Twilight would have hoped, as some complain about certain entries in the journals, some complain about how certain members of the main six act, and some just point out their flaws more than how they've improved from their flaws. So it's up to Twilight and the rest of the main six to show everyone that their flaws make them who they are, and that if they were flawless, there wouldn't be their friendship wouldn't exist to begin with. And I really love that part of the episode, considering we all have flaws, we all screw up, but that's part of what makes us human, or in this case, ponies. And sometimes I feel like my flaws sometimes make me incapable of being with people, and it makes me incapable of doing certain things. But the more I realize that it makes me realize more that the flaws I have are part of what makes me the kind of person I want to be. When it comes to the meta humor in this episode, there are a ton of jokes made at the expense of certain things that have happened in the show, such as Twilight supposedly being better when she didn't have wings, to Fluttershy learning the same lesson over and over and over and over again, to Rarity being too much of a drama queen. It seems like almost every single running gag that the fans have had that you can possibly put into this episode came into this episode. And the jokes hit more than they miss. There's also a song put into this episode. I think it's called We're Not Flawless, but I think that the song actually does work in this case, even if it sort of comes out of nowhere when it starts. It's a very good song that tells us that these characters that we've grown and loved wouldn't be as interesting as they are, and they wouldn't be as remembered as they are if they were all just perfect from the beginning. And that it doesn't really matter what other people say about characters you love or stories you love. The thing that matters is how it affects you. It doesn't matter whether you love or hate these characters. What matters is that it's your opinion and that it's not forced on you. Because as this episode shows, a true fan doesn't hate and a true fan doesn't discriminate. So I sometimes see meta episodes like this done in other shows like Teen Titans Go, and they usually just insult the audience relentlessly, and it seems like the writers are just having a huge hissy fit and are blaming the audience for everything. But this episode doesn't do that. It goes over the fan reactions to various things, and it admits where the series has gone right and where the series has gone wrong at times. All while telling the audience the message that they sometimes forget. And besides, Fluttershy makes a good point. Could you honestly change yourself if you just learn a lesson one time? Sometimes it takes a while for a person to change who they are as a person, and to get over a certain flaw. Sometimes it takes a long time to do it. It took me a while to gain any sort of confidence in myself when I was in high school, but when I finally learned it, it felt like all those lessons built up to that. And it's the same idea here. Plus, there were several other funny moments, such as Rarity going nuts after hearing her getting criticized by some other ponies, Applejack having to deal with a ton of overzealous fan cults and fan fillies, or fanboys and fangirls, if you will, and Rainbow Dash being hounded by her own fangirls about the same story over and over and over again. Like the fans just want to hear the same story without any real variation. Fame and Misfortune may irk some people with how it's written, but in my opinion, it's one of the better meta episodes that reminds us why we should like these characters and reminds us that we should love a series for the right reasons. As such, I'll give this a 8.5 out of 10. See you next time.